So what is this basically? It's truck drivers or other drivers that drink a lot of refresco, and instead of going to a bathroom or something, I don't know how they do it because I never do this, but they urinate in a plastic bottle and then they throw it outside. Okay. And you see those, how he called it, coquita de piña, everywhere next to the highways. Really, I challenge you, just travel to the beach or to Mazatlan or San Luis and just stop wherever, and you will always see like bottles, uh, Coca-Cola bottles or other soda bottles filled with urine. And okay, you can think, teacher, that's disgusting. Yeah, it is disgusting. But why have you, do you wonder why I'm telling you this? It's because we're talking about the urinary system. Okay. And what is particularly interesting is that if you look at the content of those bottles, usually the urine in those bottles is extremely yellow. Okay. I don't know if you do that, guys, but if you go urinate, in fact, it's very important that you look at the color of your urine. Because if your urine is very dark yellow, it means that you're not well hydrated or you're not drinking the correct things for your body. And you can typically see that in those coquitas de piña next to the highway. Okay. I think for me, this was very striking because this is for me. Remember what I showed you, this website. You know, this website's not the first time I show you. You see here now that if we talk about Mexico, the Mexico health profile, you see, we have seen that coronary heart disease, we have seen diabetes, we have seen stroke, liver disease, lung disease, and there you have it, kidney disease. It's very, very high in the rankings of causing the most deaths in Mexico, kidney disease. Okay. And the main cause of kidney disease is, in fact, hypertension and diabetes. So basically, kidney disease is a secondary factor of problems with your digestive system. Okay. So to go back to the waste next to the highways, well, you can see where it comes from. If you only drink sodas and refresco and your urine is always that yellow as you can see in those bottles, you have a problem at the long term. You know, you're really, really damaging your body. And I'm going to tell you, we're going to see that in my presentation, that in fact your urine, you should check it. It's in fact the best way to check if you're well hydrated and if you're drinking enough. It's by checking your urine. Okay. Of course, in the morning, your urine should be the darkest. Okay, because you accumulate all of the waste material, because urine is basically waste material. We're going to see what it consists of. It's a waste material from your body. So in the morning, it's typically the most smelly and the most dark colored. But the rest of the day, your urine should be very, very slightly yellow, even almost transparent. So I really think that for us boys, it's a little bit easier to check the color of our urine, because if you're a girl and you go to the bathroom, then usually it gets already mixed with water and it gives you the impression that it's lighter than it really is, you know, while boys, we can urinate standing up and then we can immediately detect the colors. But girls, they can also check it. So Anna Pao, you have a question?
Teacher, but do you know that you can actually like get diseases from drinking too much water?
Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah,
Like, yes.
yeah, we will see that. Yeah, too much water is also not good. But yeah, it's with everything, eh? In what you eat and drink. Too much is never good, and too little is also not good. And the problem generally is not really that we drink too few water. You also don't have to forget that we live in Saltillo, you know. When my family comes to visit me, they always complain about headaches and they don't know where it's coming from. And just because I tell them, really, in Saltillo, if you're not used to live here, you don't notice this, but you're really thirsty without knowing it. You get dehydrated. Make sure that you drink enough when you're for the first time in Saltillo, because the air is really dry. We're at high altitude, and if you come from a humid country on sea level, then you get dehydrated, and that might explain certain headaches after some days being here. Yes, Emilio?
But Mr., how about if you drink like Andreas, less than 2 liters a day, but you feel like healthy.
Look, in fact, the recommendation is you have to drink 1.5 liters of water a day. For big adults, it's even 2 liters a day. But it really depends how big you are and what your activity is. If you're just sitting behind a computer, maybe 1 liter is enough. But if you do like very high intensity sport, then 2 liters is not enough. If I go run 30 kilometers in the mountains, I have to drink like 4 liters a day. Otherwise, I feel bad. So it's not that simple. But let's say on average, the recommendation is 1 to 1.5, no, 1.5 liter a day a person. And in Satir, it would be even a little bit more because of the dry air and everything. Okay, and that's drinking. That's not refresco. That is not coffee. That is not tea. Okay, I think most of us we don't make that amount. I don't even make it all the time because I mean sometimes you yeah sometimes you if you drink too much you keep on going to the bathroom every half an hour, and that's too much as well. So when I do sports, it's way more. But basically, yeah, I think it's a good. It's not. There's other scientists that say that in fact you have to drink better, bigger quantities, like a lot in the morning, and then you drink another lot at noon, and then in the afternoon you drink another big quantity. And there's a scientist saying that these people that want to be super healthy and they're sipping all day water, that's also not really good for your body. That all day long small sips all the time, that we are not designed for that. But anyway, I don't know all the details about this. Okay, there will
Mister,
be always discussion. Yeah.
I think the solution is just drinking when you're thirsty and like checking, like, oh, am I dehydrated? No. Okay. And just if you're thirsty, just take a glass. I don't know. That's what I do.
Yeah, me too. And I think that's very good, Santiago, because I mean, drinking is fine, and choose well when you drink. If I don't know what you guys drink, but if you down 1.5 liter of soda a day, then please stop doing this, because then you will have problems sooner or later. Guys, let's have a look, a small introduction video of what the urinary system is made of. It's 1.5 minutes. Then I have another video about the chronic kidney disease, which we call CKD. Okay, because that's a big problem. So let's have a look quickly at this. Am I sharing? Yes. Okay.
The kidneys are bean-shaped organs on each side of the spinal column. The kidneys maintain the proper balance of water and minerals in the body and regulate blood pressure. In addition, the kidneys continuously filter and cleanse the blood. Waste products are then expelled in the urine. Each kidney receives blood through a branch of the aorta called the renal artery. This blood is then filtered through nephrons to produce urine. There are about 1 million nephrons in each kidney. Each nephron contains a small tangle of porous blood vessels called a glomerulus. Fluid that is to become urine leaks out of these blood vessels into a thin bowl-shaped structure called the Bowman capsule. The glomeruli are located in the outer part of the kidney or the cortex. From here, urine drains into tubules in the inner layer of the kidney called the medulla, and then into the collecting ducts. Urine drains through the ureter, the tubes connecting each kidney to the bladder, and then through the urethra, the tube that leads outside of the body. The kidneys and urinary tract can be affected by many different disorders. Stones are hard masses usually composed of calcium that begin to form in the kidney and may enlarge throughout the urinary tract, causing pain, bleeding, or an infection, and are more common in older adults and men.
You're muted, mister.
Again. So who can tell me a little bit about what do you know about the functions of the kidney or the urinary system? I mean, why do we urinate? Who knows?
To expel the waste, like after they absorb the nutrients and whatever they need from the water. The rest is just practically useless. So
Mhm.
kaput.
But didn't we say that the liver filters the blood? So why we have urinary system?
To take out the waste from the liver.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Who said that?
Marroquín.
Yeah.
It was you, Santiago. Anyway,
No, no, it was Marroquín.
It was me.
okay, very smart comment indeed. Yeah, indeed. The liver metabolizes, detoxifies, but it still has to go somewhere with the waste products, you know. So the filter, the liver is definitely a filter, but what is in fact the real purification station, which removes all the waste products from the body in a direct way by diluting it in water and to put it in a bag so it can never enter the body anymore because the bladder is impermeable. So once it's in the bladder, it goes out. Okay, you urinate it out, and that's it. So it's exactly that. It's the urinary system is an excretory system, and the liver is not. Okay, it's a metabolizing thing. So it's a very important thing to realize. Um, so
Mister,
yes.
that rock animation of the liver of the urinary system was hard to watch, like the kidney stone falling. That
Yeah.
was like so goddamn.
Yeah, should be very painful. Kidney stones are very common.
How big are the kidneys? Like if I held one?
Here you have it. You have only one.
Ah.
You have only one kidney, Emilio.
No. If I was holding one
If you were
in my
holding.
hand.
Okay. Well, they're about 12 by 6 by 5 centimeters. Okay. So they're like the size of, let's say, 2/3 of your hand, something like that. Until here, that's a kidney. It's not as big as a hand, okay? It's a bit smaller, but 12 centimeters long, more or less. Um, we have two of them. We can live with one, okay? In Nepal, there's people selling kidneys to have money. That's really bad. I would never ever do that because, in fact, you have two kidneys for a very good reason. If one doesn't work anymore, you still have another one. Okay, so don't sell your kidneys. There's also been events of young, because in fact it's good to have kidneys of young people, you know, like 18 years old, 19 years old. They're healthier kidneys than somebody of 50 years old. So there have been events that young people, they went to a party and they got drugged, and then I mean I don't want to scare you or anything, but it did happen, you know, that they got drugged. They came, they put them asleep, they got out a kidney, and the next day they woke up without a kidney. You know, that happened. That they have been stealing kidneys. So we have two kidneys. One is a little bit more up than the other one. And that's because of the liver. Okay, so the right one here, this one is a little bit lower because we have this huge organ on this side, okay, which is the liver, and that's why it's a little bit more pushed down, but basically it's a small difference between both of them. Okay, the kidneys as well, if we would make a coronal cut of the body, you would notice that they're a little bit more in the back to the body. You know, that's why that it's forbidden in boxing to kick somebody right there, because if you kick just above the pompis, let's say, you can hit the kidney, and if you hit it, then you can cause organ damage. So that's why in boxing it's forbidden to kick somebody right here, you know. Okay, so this is one of the most important slides, okay? The kidney does more than just excretion, okay? The kidney has very important roles in many areas. It in first place, yeah, everybody thinks, okay, it's producing urine and it gets rid of all the waste material, but it's also very important in homeostasis. It does osmoregulation. Osmoregulation is basically how much water do you have in your body. Okay, if you drink more, you're going to urinate more because your body has optimal amount of water needed to function properly. If you drink too much water, then certain organs, like Anna Pau says, they might suffer from osmosis and stuff. It's not healthy to drink too much water either. We will see that maybe in the neurological system. If you take, for instance, a lot of crystals, it's a drug. What happens is that your kidneys, or in fact, your thirst sense is affected, and you will feel all the time you're thirsty, but that's not the case. And basically, you're drinking too much, and it might cause problems for your body. You know, your kidneys, they regulate the salts in your body. You know that urine also is a salty substance. You know, because if it removes salts, it's typically known as well that kidneys have kidney stones. And you also know that you get kidney stones if you eat too much salt. Okay, because it's basically the kidneys that define how much salt is removed from the blood and how much is going to stay. So salt has a role in pH regulation, and this one, don't forget that the kidney, like you can see here, on top you have like the kidney cortex right here, and the kidney has also a role in hormone production, erythropoietin. This is a hormone that defines the production of red blood cells. Okay, we will see that in a little bit more detail. Okay, so let's first have a look at the function of the kidney itself. Okay, so basically what happens is you have a kidney, and inside the kidney, we have a lot of functional units. Okay, the functional units is basically what we call a nephron. A nephron is one functional unit that does the certain job of filtering the blood. So basically, exactly like in the lungs, you have like a capillary bed, which we call glomerulus. And basically, this is the blood that goes into the glomerulus, and then inside the kidney, you have the Bowman's capsule. And what happens in this glomerulus is that all the blood cells, like platelets, red blood cells and white blood cells, they stay inside the capillary. But what is filtered out is the plasma, is like the liquid of the blood. And this filtration contains water, nutrient, waste products, and everything goes right in here. And it's this capsule of Bowman that's basically a kind of hand, you can see it. It's like a kind of capsule that captures all that liquid that comes from the blood, and it pushes it through the loop of Henle. So what you can see here, this one is called the loop of Henle. And here you can see more in detail what happens in the loop of Henle. Basically, what happens in the loop of Henle, which has a proximal tube, here it has like a descended part, the loop itself, the ascending part, and here you have the collecting duct. And here you can see what happens. In the first part, here is basically everything regulated. So how much is secreted and how much is reabsorbed, okay? So like we said, the kidney is a filter. It is not going to get rid of everything. It's going to reuse things that is still useful, because otherwise we would lose too much liquid. It would not be possible. We have to recycle, and that's what our kidneys do as well. So whenever the liquid from the blood comes into this capsule of Bowman, sodium, which is useful, nutrients, water, other atoms and ions are absorbed. And here in the first part, a lot of water is reabsorbed. Okay, so that happens here. Everything that goes out is reabsorbed. Okay, the color indicates by which kind of transport it goes. If it's blue, it's just osmosis. Okay, so it's osmoregulation, because the transfer of water will last as long as there is a concentration gradient. Okay, so when there is more concentration here than there, water will be reabsorbed. When the concentration gets higher, water stops to be reabsorbed. You can see clearly as well here that ions, they're absorbed by diffusion, so that's also passive, and active is sodium, nutrients, they are reabsorbed a little bit. If we go further in the loop of Henle, you can see that there are still more things reabsorbed, okay? And you see here, what is waste products is drugs, some ions as well, this goes in, okay? And then in the final part, in the collecting duct, a lot of it is reabsorbed. So basically, it's a filtration process. Like most of it is reabsorbed. What stays in the loop of Henle and then in the collecting duct is the things that we cannot reuse, like drugs, waste products, and water, certain amounts of water, okay? Because water is necessary to do the filtration process, because otherwise we would not be able to urinate, okay? This is how it looks like, okay? You have here a kidney. All the blood goes in here in the renal artery. It leaves with the renal vein, and then it's distributed in all these parts of the kidney. And if you zoom in here, you see this nephron here. And we have millions and millions of them happening everywhere at the same time, filtering and filtering and filtering. And this is how that looks like, okay? So here you have like the branch of the renal artery arriving. It becomes a glomerulus, which is basically a capillary network. Here filtration is happening. It goes into this loop of Henle. This different kinds of processes happen. Everything is filtered. What can be reabsorbed goes back in the venule and goes back in the body. And what is waste product will be accumulated in the end in the collecting duct. And this collecting duct, of course, goes to the bladder in the end, okay? So here you can see it in another schematical way, everything that is reabsorbed. And here, what this you have to know, what are the main waste products of urine is urea, uric acid, creatinine, and other drugs, together with certain ions and water. All the rest, all those ions, sodium, potassium, chlor, water, all of that is still useful for the body, you know, glucose, amino acids, all of that. That's, by the way, glucose normally is 100% reabsorbed. If you have glucose in your urine, then it means that you're possibly diabetic or something, because your concentrations in your blood are so high, it's not good. That's why they do in the urine test. And if they tell you you have glucose in your urine, it's usually not a very good sign. Okay, so urea is the main waste product of, here you can see it, is the main waste product of the urine. Urea and uric acid. And basically, what is urea and uric acid? It's basically, it comes from the amino acids, okay? Here you see, let's say you eat meat, but not only meat has proteins, but basically, it comes from the amino acids. So meat and certain vegetables, they are high in proteins. They have amino acids. The amino acid has always an ammonia group because it's called amino acid. It has an ammonia group, which is NH2. This ammonia group is a little bit problematic for the body. It cannot do a lot with it, okay? The only thing that it can do with it is get rid of it because it's toxic. And it's the liver that converts the ammonia, which comes from our food, into urea, okay? You see here, converts ammonia into urea. Why? Because it's less toxic and it's better transportable. And this urea goes to the kidneys, and this makes your urine typically yellow. So what makes your urine yellow and this typical smell that it gets, it's the urea and the uric acid. And this is basically the main waste product of our kidney, okay? So this will be for tomorrow. I'm going to finish our class with a video that I prepared for you already to have a little more idea about this chronic kidney disease. Okay, it's 4 minutes and it will explain you a little bit where the problems come from in kidney disease, because it's a very serious problem. And the problem with kidney disease is that basically people with kidney disease, there's few people that have only kidney disease, okay? Usually people that have chronic kidney disease, they have a whole bunch of other problems. Very often they have hypertension, very often they are diabetic already, and very often they're obese already. So it's an additional problem which could be lethal if you have all those different conditions at the same time. It's very yeah, it's very poor prognosis for you in the long run. So let's have a look at this. Any questions for the moment? So
No.
today, today we just see that the liver is a filtering mechanism, and we see what is the main waste product. And we're going to finish with this video because it will become tomorrow more important to understand the deeper meanings of the kidney. Okay.
Mr.
Yes, it's a very short chapter, the kidney. Yes, Santiago?
So urea is the
Emilios.
first waste product.
Yeah, it's the main waste product. Urea and uric acid is the main waste product of urine.
Okay, thanks.
Chronic kidney disease, CKD, is a gradual loss of renal function, typically developing over the course of months or years. Many conditions, both within and outside the kidneys, can cause progressive damage to the kidneys over time, leading to CKD. Of these, most common are diabetes and hypertension, both of which directly damage blood vessels within the kidney, destroying renal tissue. An acute kidney injury, if not completely resolved, may also become chronic kidney disease. The severity of renal disease is evaluated based on glomerular filtration rate, GFR, an indicator of how well the blood is filtered by the kidneys. GFR is calculated as a function of serum creatinine, a waste product that accumulates in blood plasma when renal function declines. The calculation takes into account the patient's age, gender, and race. Symptoms develop slowly over time, progressing from renal insufficiency to end-stage renal failure. Often, initial loss of renal tissue does not produce any symptoms because the remaining healthy tissue becomes more active and can temporarily compensate for the loss, a phenomenon known as renal adaptation. Symptoms appear when a significant portion of kidney function is already lost. The ability to concentrate urine is usually the first to be impaired, resulting in frequent trips to the bathroom, especially at night. Other early signs include fatigue, loss of appetite, and decreased mental ability. Because the kidneys remove metabolic wastes, control blood pH and fluid electrolyte balance, as well as produce several hormones, loss of kidney function may result in a number of complications. Accumulation of toxic nitrogenous waste can cause a range of symptoms, from nausea, vomiting, to confusion and seizures. Reduced excretion of hydrogen ions leads to increased blood acidity, or metabolic acidosis. Reduced excretion of potassium results in potassium overload in the blood, or hyperkalemia, which may cause cardiac arrhythmias. Hyperkalemia usually occurs only in advanced stage, but excessive potassium intake or use of drugs that prevent potassium excretion may precipitate the condition in earlier stages. Decreased excretion of phosphate results in hyperphosphatemia. Reduced renal production of calcitriol, an active form of vitamin D, contributes to low blood calcium level, or hypocalcemia. Low blood calcium stimulates production of parathyroid hormone, PTH, by the parathyroid gland. PTH promotes calcium release from bones in an attempt to raise blood calcium. This sequence eventually leads to an overactive parathyroid gland, or secondary hyperparathyroidism, which can develop before hypocalcemia occurs. As the bones continuously lose calcium to the blood, they become thin and weakened, a condition known as renal osteodystrophy. Symptoms include bone and joint pain and increased risks of fractures. Reduced renal secretion of erythropoietin, a stimulating factor for red blood cell formation, can lead to anemia. Diagnosis is based on renal function tests, which include blood and urine analysis. Ultrasound is performed to detect renal obstruction. It may also help in distinguishing chronic kidney disease from acute kidney injury based on kidney size. Treatments aim to control the underlying condition, address the complications, and involve certain nutrition supplements and restrictions. End-stage kidney disease requires dialysis or kidney transplantation.
I know this video is a little bit theoretical, but honestly, it's the best one I found because they really explain every detail about what can happen if this certain ion or this certain thing is not excreted in the right amount. It shows you about what happens with the hormonal level. And there's a whole list of secondary things that happen. I mean, not secondary, tertiary things that when once you have this chronic kidney disease or chronic kidney failure, that's why I told you it's basically the beginning of the end because it's a whole cascade of other effects that grow as a consequence of that. And I feel I know personally a lot of older people that have kidney issues, and this issue is always been taken very, very lightly. You know, yeah, I have problems with the kidneys, but really, if you're gonna look at the gravity of what you're having, then you have to see what is causing this kidney issue. They already have a whole bunch of problems. Then they have the kidney issues, and the kidney issues is causing another whole bunch of problems. So basically, once you're in this phase, yeah, you have to be very, very worried, you know, because it's really you're really dying very slowly. Yes, Ana Pao?
No, teacher, if you want, like, finish, and then I want to say something,
Go
to add
ahead.
something to it.
I'm basically finished because it's almost time.
Oh, okay. So can I share screen?
For sure. How do I do that? A ver,
I think I'm allowed to share. I'm just asking.
yeah, I think, yeah, go ahead. You can share. I think I put it.
So we have a surprise for you de parte de FETEC, and different alumni that you have had or had right now made some comments about you, like well, just things that they like about your class and how you are really like a really good teacher, and we wanted to share them with you.
Oh, really, Ana Pao? That's nice.
And yeah, I think you can see them right now. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can see it. It's very nice, students. I didn't expect this. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, teacher, and thank you so much because you're so nice to us. Like, yes. And well, I'm not sure if I love your class. And yeah, it's really cool.
Thanks a lot. It really makes me emotional, and I'm very grateful that you show me this. It's really confirmation of what I've been doing for several years already, and I love being with you guys. And this is how I want to be, you know. I want to be remembered as somebody that taught you something, and not only as a teacher but also like in spiritual ways, you know. And I mean giving like good life tips and stuff, because yeah, I think that's important, you know. So really, I very, very much appreciate this. Thank you a lot, all of you that contributed for this little surprise.
Thank you, Remy.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, best teacher. Yeah. Ooh.
Okay, we'll see each other tomorrow then, guys. Thanks a lot. And
We'll see you tomorrow.
okay.
Tomorrow, Mr.
See you
Thank you very
tomorrow.
much.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Teacher.
Thank you, teacher.
Bye.